For this project, I have got out my knitwear, bear and axolotl moulds. I'm going to make both of them, and you'll find out why very shortly. This is a Through the Decades themed collaboration by Tony at Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts. I had a lot of fun with this project, so let's have a little fun now. Pause the video as soon as you guess which decade I am doing. Be honest, go to the comments, tell me the timestamp and what your decade guess is. If you change your mind later, go back and guess again. Based on my analytics and the age of people that watch my videos, I think you'll all get it straight away. I am going to do a neon versus glow in the dark comparison video. So I'm going to do one character with glow in the dark and one with neon. And the reason is, I heard or read that neon and glow in the dark are not the same. And unless I see two comparable things side by side at the same time, I can't tell the difference, or I can't remember the difference. So I've wanted to do a video with them both together so that we can see the results side by side, and that will also show any viewers who don't know the difference either. So I'm really excited about this project. I really had a lot of fun with it. So even if you've guessed the decade, watch till the end to see what fun I have with it. I don't just stop at using the colours. I try and have a bit of fun with the hair as well. So here's the clue. I am going to attempt to make my characters look like they are wearing multicoloured clothing. So the inspiration is more from the female photo, but I just wanted to balance it out and put a male photo on there as well. Okay, so first challenge, getting the colours onto the mould. For the glow in the darks, I first tried dry brushing them on. It didn't work, you couldn't really see the colours. So then I tried mixing with alcohol, and that was too runny. I want my colours to stay in a specific place. Like with the female photo, different coloured leggings with leg warmers, etc. So the colour wouldn't stay in place with that. So I got the idea from Nicole at the Blue Elephant Gifts to mix the powders with this gloss varnish. To cut a long story short, that didn't work either. Again, it was too runny. So I ended up just putting some varnish on, brushing some varnish on its own and leaving it to dry, and then dry brushing the powders on, and that worked better. And now onto the neon powders, and these worked a lot better just dry brushing them on. Okay, I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm going to skip ahead to where both moulds have been coloured in the areas that I want them to be coloured. Right, I've mixed up enough resin for one mould at a time because we're in a heat wave in the UK and I don't want a risk of flash curing. This is the bear mould and I used the neon powders on him. So I've just chosen another colour to be the main colour for the rest of the body, putting a little bit in some alcohol, and then I will mix that into the resin and pour. Okay, I've got him partially filled. I'm just going to give his head and ear areas a really good squidge, and then I'll finish filling him up. And for the axolotl, we used the glow in the dark, and I choose an orange for the main colour. Okay, exciting demold time. Let's see how they're looking before I decide how to progress. By the way, this was a constantly evolving project. It's not until I see how the initial demold turns out before I decide to do the next stage, and then it's not until I've done the next stage that I decide to take it a bit further. That's looking quite pretty, but I wanted bluer ears, and the blue and yellow, or the blue powder and the yellow resin is kind of mixed a bit, and so made green ears. And the colour on the feet has ombre into the main body, and the orange of the arms is a bit patchy. We'll come back to him. That was really tricky to demould, and what I was doing there with the tape was making sure I pick up any shards of resin off my surface and any shards that I was loosening around the edges of the mould as well, so that I don't stab myself or put my piece down onto any shards that are on the mat. And this is rather disappointing. But don't worry, we'll come back to it. So after demould, I painted some faces on with Artex acrylic markers, and then I held them in the dark to see how well they glow up and whether I had anything to lose by doing some more work on them after. And the axolotl looked okay, but the bear did not. He was very dull. You could barely see him apart from the eyes that I'd coloured on. So I thought, I've got nothing to lose, I'm going to try something here. So what I did with the bear was I painted on some blue ears using the same method, the blue neon powder in that gloss varnish, and then I waited until that had dried to decide whether I was going to do the same with the rest of the pieces, and I decided to go ahead and do the same. Okay, I can't necessarily remember the exact shades that I used, although there's not that many to choose from, but especially with the axolotl where pretty much the whole thing was the same colour. I know I wanted purple, what are those things called on the head? I know I wanted them purple, but the rest had just gone orange, so I basically make up my own new colour scheme now. I will just give you a little bit of a music time lapse while I continue with painting up the axolotl. I do 2 coats, but I'll only show you the 1 coat of the axolotl, and then I also do the bear, but I will just show you the 1 coat with the axolotl.
In a quiet room, late night glow, mixing dreams with resin slow. Some ideas I already know, some scare me half to death, but I still go. Epoxy waves and UV light, trying to get it wrong to get it right. Hands not perfect, that's okay, every mark's part of the way. I step outside what feels safe and known, build something beautiful on my own. If it breaks, I'll show you why. If it works, we'll both fly. I make it with a heart, every part. Love in the mess, love in the art. If I say I should have, you'll understand. If I can't fix it, you still learn from my hands. Made with a heart from the start. This is creating with a heart. Some days smooth, some days rough, some days yeah, some days that's enough. But every pour, every try has a reason, has a why. If I find the way it's meant to be, I'll teach you step by step with me. If I don't, at least you'll know what not to do when you go. Comfort zones are made to bed, mistakes can still be teachers' friend. No gatekeeping.
Here's an inspiration photo for a male hairstyle. I'm going to do the bear, and I've decided straight away that the bear was going to be a male. I will come on to the female later and show you the inspiration for the female hair later. Okay, for the hair, I struggled with what to use, and I settled on this, which is fish tank filter material, or in the case of what I bought it for, cat water filter material. I've got a massive roll of it, and so I thought that I could just colour this, stick it on, and that would be job done. In the interest of keeping the video to a reasonable length, I won't show you the failed attempts. I'll just go straight to what I did do. And what I decided would be best would be UV resin with some acrylic paint mixed in. Now, I know there can be curing issues with dark colourants or too much colouring, even if it's not dark, but alcohol inks, your normal resin dyes, they weren't working because of the whiteness of the product itself. I could not get the colour opaque enough to turn black. So I used the paint, but I brushed it on very thinly. And curing wise, I did put it under a lamp. I secured it first with the pen light, but then I did also put it under the lamp for a good 10 minutes. And it was still sticky, granted. However, I was then away for the weekend, so I just left him sat out where, not in the sun, not in the windowsill, just sat out in the open, and the sunlight coming into the house did finish off the curing, and I will prove that when I come to do the glamour shots. Jumping ahead a little, I'm going to try and give him a haircut now. Trying to make it either look spiky, or what I end up doing is trying to make it look like he's got a quiff, so the hair falling over to one side. But that works better if you've got hair that's different lengths, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm just having a play around. Now I don't want him to just have hair on the top and nothing on the back, so I'm trying to shape a piece of that stuff to give him an all over head haircut. It ends up not working because I cannot get it to stick to his head. It sticks a bit at the top, but it ends up looking like a girl's hairstyle with it floppy at the bottom, like a really short bob. Here's the inspiration photo again. So here's the hairstyle I'm going to do for my female, the good old crimp. I used to love crimping my hair. I've got a crimper now. I won't say how old I am, but I was old enough to crimp my hair in the late 80s, let's say. And this has got me wanting to do it again. I don't think it'll suit me. Okay, so I won't talk you through this much. It'll be quite obvious what I'm doing. I'll just put it on music time lapse for you, and when I have finished I will come back to give you the explanation of why I ended up choosing the colours that I chose.
In a quiet room, late night glow, mixing dreams with resin slow. Some ideas I already know, some scare me half to death, but I still go. Epoxy waves and UV light, trying to get it wrong to get it right. Hands not perfect, that's okay, every mark is part of the way. I step outside what feels safe and known, build something beautiful on my own. If it breaks, I'll show you why. If it works, we'll both fly. I make it with a heart, every part. Love in the mess, love in the art. If I say I should have, you'll understand. If I can't fix it, you still...
I'm back. So just before we move on to the final stage, I just want to remind you that this is a collaboration organised by Tony at Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts. This month's theme was Through the Decades. I will link the playlist. Please go and check out all the other videos. Did you guess the decade? I will accept 80s or 90s. But thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you subscribe and check out my back catalogue. If you're not new here, thank you also, and I obviously hope you've enjoyed it too. I have really enjoyed this one. It has taken me about 2 weeks to make, but I've really enjoyed it. They're not perfect, but having said that, they're one of a kind, so they must be perfect because there's nothing to compare them to. At least not that I'm aware of.
I step outside, would feel safe and known, build something beautiful on my own. If it breaks, I'll show you why. If it works, we'll both fly. I make it with heart, every part. Love in the mess, love in the art. If I say I should have, you'll understand. If I can't fix it, you still learn from my hands.
Okay, so let's do Lady Axolotl first. I've not bothered waiting for the paint to dry because it will dry. It's not like with the boy where it was UV resin. I need to make sure it cured. So, yeah, the hair isn't quite crimped, but I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Unless I got some of my own hair, cut my own hair and crimped that. Which I might do sometime. Hey ho. And so, back to the inspiration. She is wearing orange leg warmers and pink arm gloves. And because she's an axolotl and has a tail, she's wearing a tailing, like legging for a tail. And of course, she's got her purple horns. And the reason why I did her hair coloured like that is because I didn't intend it to be kind of like that exactly, but it was blonde hair, and we used to put, like, you could get clip-on plaits or something of different colours, I'm sure. So those are to represent different coloured plaits in her blonde hair. Okay, boy time. Nothing much to show with him really, but as I said, I ended up doing a quiff. So the hair is longer, but then flopped over to the side and sort of not as much as I wanted it to, but it's sort of intended to be coming down onto his forehead slightly. And as I said I would prove that it has cured even though it's got black in it. There you go. Right, so when it has gone dark, I will get you some nighttime pictures. Okay, so ladies before gentlemen, obviously. So here is Lady Axolotl, and she looks brilliant. The arms and legs don't seem to be giving off the same glow, but I'm wondering if that's because of the colour behind them, whereas the horns don't actually have anything behind them, so perhaps the light shining through them helps them to glow better. Okay, clearly it's true that neons do not glow in the dark because the bear was in frame there, and I've had to shine a light on it to show you. I'm actually shining my UV light on it, not just a torch. He's still a pretty bear though, isn't he? The axolotl, she is definitely pretty, isn't she? And definitely glows. And in fact, if she's right next to him, she gives off some of her glow to him. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good week, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.